Hey, what's up, guys? Now, today we're going to be talking about Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network. Now, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network are two of the kings of cartoons. They have produced some of the most memorable cartoons over the years. From Johnny Bravo to the Powerpuff Girls, to Dexter's Laboratory, to Chowder, all the way to Hey Arnold, all the way to Rugrats, all the way, and then Nickelodeon, all the way to Hey Arnold, all the way to Rugrats, all the way to Tough Puffy, all the way to Philly Odd Parents, and then all the way to Danny Phantom. Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network are very controversial and simple networks. They first launched for the sake of bringing children's programming to primetime television. So we're going to want to talk about both network and their values. So let's get into it. First up, we're gonna want to compare Nickelodeon shows to Cartoon Network shows. No, that's the Cartoon Network shows. Now, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network shows are very similar to each other. They both have a 90s feel to them, and they both have good programming. So in the programming department, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network both come in strong, with Disney Channel coming in third. That's why Disney Channel is on this picture. Next, we're going to talk about which network do I think succeeded when it first launched. Now, when Cartoon Network first launched, they were a very small network. They would bring their ratings in by airing old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, while Nickelodeon would make its money airing sitcom cartoons from the 80s and the 70s. So when I look at Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, I have to decide how well did Nickelodeon and which network did better when they first launched. I would have to say Cartoon Network, because they have always been about cartoons, even when they weren't producing them in house. So that's why I have to go with Cartoon Network. So yeah. And no, that's not okay. So we're gonna talk about how are the characters the same. Now, SpongeBob is very similar to he's very similar to Clarence. No, SpongeBob is very similar to Uncle Grandpa. He's very similar to Uncle Grandpa, while Patrick is very similar to Clarence. And then you see that Button from Button to the Beast is very similar, not close to Dexter, but a dumber version of Dexter. So yeah, Nickelodeon characters have been copied by Cartoon Network, and Cartoon Network characters have been copied by Nickelodeon. So yeah, every show is not original, but the characters are sometimes different. So yeah. Next, we're going to talk about Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, and are they friendly in the competition department? Now, I haven't seen anything about Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon having a feud. I have not seen any videos that aired on Cartoon Network with Cartoon Network directly bashing Nickelodeon. I have not seen Nickelodeon directly bashing Cartoon Network. So I think that, yeah, Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network, they are very friendly in the competition department. And I think since they are big companies and they're not like Family Guy and South Park, they will not like competition with each other. So yeah. Next, we're going to talk about Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon and CN, and we're going to talk about the values of each company. Now, when we have to talk about the values, we're going to want to talk about the corporate. Now, when Nickelodeon first launched, it was about 70s and 80s sitcoms. It had an award show with the slime that we all know and love from Nickelodeon today, and it was incredible. The network wasn't corporate until it got this show. That's right, when the network first got SpongeBob SquarePants, they started to become more corporate. Almost everything Nickelodeon airs nowadays is about SpongeBob. So yeah, that's why I'm going to say that over the years Nickelodeon started to become more corporate, while as Cartoon Network is still in the good age where they don't rely on one show. But Teen Titans Go was heading in that direction, but then they started to revive it. So yeah, they're kickstarting new cartoons like Craig of the Creek, and then we have Infinity Train coming in 2019. So if Cartoon Network does it right, someday they may drive the Nickelodeon out of business. Who knows? Next, we're going to talk about Nickelodeon and Cartoon Network shows and how they are very drastically different from each other. Now, while Cartoon Network shows are very happy, giddy, Nickelodeon shows are very silly, hypertentious, and the only show in the Nickelodeon that I can see being serious actually is the Avatar and Korra, and then the 2012 TMNT series. That's the only shows on Nick I can actually see being serious. Both networks have silly cartoons, and the only network that doesn't have any serious cartoons at all is Cartoon Network. But Nickelodeon, they have the 2012 TMNT, Avatar, and Korra. So yeah. And the last, before we get to our conclusion, we're going to want to talk about Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon, and what do I think about all of this. Now, Nickelodeon has made some very poor decisions during their time as a network. Anyway, do you know that Adventure Time was actually pitched to Nickelodeon instead of Cartoon Network? And it was turned down by Nickelodeon twice for being quote-unquote too silly and too rambunctious, something along those lines. So Cartoon Network was quick to hop on the opportunity, and Adventure Time became one of their most successful cartoons. Now Nickelodeon was afraid to take a chance in the early 1990s and the late 2000s. Nickelodeon was afraid to make a change. You remember when Disney Channel made all that money and they were taking chances all over the place, greenlighting shows that I bet they just took a gambit and said, agree, greenlight. So yeah, when the network makes enough money, when they don't even care anymore, they'll just put out anything, then that means that the network is becoming corporate. Nickelodeon was afraid to take chances, and when a network is afraid to greenlight a show because they don't have enough money, then that shows you that the network it's getting close to some type of corporate. So yeah, for all of this that we have been shown, I come to my conclusion: the winner of Nickelodeon versus Cartoon Network is the Now, when I choose Cartoon Network, aka CN, I have a very good explanation. Now, Cartoon Network, in the early 2010s era, it focused on two cartoons. It focused on Adventure Time and Regular Show. And then it started focusing on Gumball, and then it started focusing on Clarence, and then it started focusing on Teen Titans Go. But now it doesn't focus on one show, it focuses on every show. You have Craig of the Creek, you have Unikitty, you have Mighty Magosaurus, you have We Bare Bears, and then you have Teen Titans Go as well. You have Adventure Time, and then you have Infinity Train coming in 2019, and hopefully Victor and Valentino. What is Nickelodeon going to have in 2019 to hold it up? We have not had any information about new shows coming to Nickelodeon in 2019. Now, Nickelodeon is very corporate. Back in the early 1990s and the late 2000s, Nickelodeon was too corporate for me. I mean, when they got SpongeBob SquarePants, they were pushing that show too hard, and they were afraid to make a change. The only change that they made was for the worst, and it was when they changed the classic Nick Splat logo to the stupid white Nickelodeon logo, and then they changed it to just Nick, the logo, the orange Nick that we all know and hate today. So yeah, Sure, don't get me wrong. Nickelodeon made some iconic shows during its first run time, like Hey Arnold. They had Rugrats, Danny Phantom, The Fairly Odd Parents, and SpongeBob, Cat Dog, and Chalk. It was incredible, but Nickelodeon just became too corporate for me and it started focusing on one show. That's why I think Cartoon Network clearly wins here.